Welcome to the deep dive. You know, most of us have this idea in our head about our ideal weight. We step on the scale, maybe look at a chart, and think, yeah, okay, I'm doing all right.
Hey, maybe not all right, but we have a number in mind.
Exactly. But what if that number, the real one for your health, was actually set like years ago?
Yeah.
And even small changes from that baseline has these huge, quiet impacts.
That's a really common blind spot, I think. The numbers we usually focus on, well, they can be pretty misleading.
Hello.
Because they rarely tell the whole story,
Right.
What's actually happening inside your body. It's more complex.
Right, there's definitely more to it. So today, we're really peeling back the layers on weight. We want to unpack how it's measured accurately beyond just the scale and look at the surprising ways it impacts our health.
And our source for this is obesity, causes and effects on the body.
Yeah, our mission is to dive into what it reveals about genuine weight management and, crucially, those dangers we might be overlooking. Think of this as a shortcut, maybe, to understanding your own body better. Hopefully some aha moments.
The kind you didn't even know you were looking for.
Okay, so let's get straight to it. What is the real benchmark for ideal weight, according to this source? Because I suspect it's not what we generally assume.
Well, yeah, this is where it gets interesting right away.
Yeah.
The source says your ideal weight is actually your weight at around 20 years of age.
20. Wow, okay, that's
Right.
that's specific. I always figured, weight naturally goes up a bit as you age. Is that not considered, well, normal?
Well, some fluctuation during childhood development, that's expected, of course. Your body's growing.
For sure.
But the source really emphasizes that beyond a certain point, weight gain becomes detrimental. It uses specific terms, jadi or lathapana,
What you mean?
fatness or obesity.
Yeah.
It's very direct about framing it as a problem once you pass that threshold linked to your younger self.
So it's not just, oh, I'm older, I carry a few extra pounds. There's a line. And this is where the source brings in something really striking, what it calls the 5-kilogram rule. We might think a bit of weight gain over the years is fine, manageable. But this source says any gain of more than 5 kilograms, that's about 11 pounds beyond your weight at 18-20.
Even if you look proportionate for your height now.
Right. Even then, that could actually be the beginning of obesity.
It really highlights how weight can creep up, doesn't it? In a way we might just dismiss.
Totally.
And the source gives a clear example. A woman who is naturally slender, say 45 kilograms at 18 or 20.
Okay.
10 years later, she's 60 kilograms. Now, 60 kilograms might sound perfectly normal for her height on a standard chart.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily flag that.
But for her, based on her starting point, that 15-kilogram gain, the source classifies it as obesity, posing a genuine health risk.
Wow, so it really anchors everything to your personal baseline from early adulthood. That completely reframes things.
It does, and the source sums it up quite starkly, saying something like, a thin person should remain thin for life, and a fat person should strive to become thin for life.
That's a strong statement. It really underlines maintaining that baseline. Okay, so if just stepping on the scale isn't enough, and our weight at 20 is this crucial anchor, how do we get a more accurate picture now? What measurements does the source point to?
Right, because the scale alone misses a lot. That's where BMI, body mass index, comes in. It's widely used, pretty easy to calculate.
And it factors in height, right? Which is important because people have different builds.
Exactly. The formula is weight in kilograms divided by height in meters squared.
Okay.
So the source example is someone who's 1.7 meters tall, weighs 75 kilograms. You do the math. 75 divided by 1.7 times 1.7.
And that gives you
A BMI of 25.9.
Okay, so we get a BMI number. Is there like one universal standard for what's healthy then? Because this is where the source reveals something really quite eye-opening about different populations.
Yeah, this is fascinating. There isn't one universal standard according to this source. It highlights a major difference. For Asians, particularly Indians, a BMI of 21 is considered appropriate.
21.
Anything higher is actually categorized as obese in that context.
Okay, wow. And for Europeans?
For Europeans, the threshold for appropriate is given as 30.
30. That's a huge difference. 21 versus 30. Why? What's the reason for such a massive difference in the BMI benchmark?
It's all about how fat is stored in the body. That's the key insight here.
Okay.
For Indian and Asian populations, fat tends to accumulate primarily around the abdomen, belly fat.
Right.
And this abdominal fat, the source stresses, isn't just sitting there. It's described as biologically active almost. Not quiet.
Not quiet. What does that mean?
It means it's actively releasing these toxic hormones called adipocytokines into the bloodstream.
Toxic hormones.
Yes, and these adipocytokines are directly linked to the mental and physical diseases we associate with obesity.
So belly fat isn't just about looks. It's like a little factory pumping out harmful signals.
That's a good way to put it. Now, contrast that with European populations.
Okay.
Fat storage is more common around the shoulders and neck area, and that fat is described as quiet and inactive.
Ah, so it's less biologically disruptive.
Generally, yes. Less dangerous from a metabolic standpoint. This difference in fat distribution and activity is why those BMI thresholds are so different. It's biological, not just cultural.
That is a massive insight for understanding personal risk. So BMI gives us more nuance. Is there anything else, any other practical ways the source suggests for checking obesity risk?
Yes, absolutely. Waist circumference is highlighted as another excellent measure, kind of independent of BMI.
Okay, how does that work? Are there specific numbers?
For women, a waist circumference of 31 inches, that's 80 centimeters or more, indicates obesity.
31 inches, got it. And for men?
For men, it's 35 inches, or 90 centimeters or more.
Okay, so that gives us another tool, especially considering what you said about the danger of belly fat.
Precisely. It's a very practical way to gauge that specific abdominal risk.
So putting this all together, the source talks about a kind of dual threat, right? How excess weight impacts the body in two main ways.
Yes, it breaks down the adverse effects into two main categories.
What's the first one?
The first involves metabolic disorders. Think conditions like diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure.
The big ones.
Exactly. And what's really critical here, the source emphasizes, is that these problems can start to raise their heads, even with just a slight increase in weight.
Wow, only slight. That's quite sobering. It doesn't take much to trigger those metabolic issues.
Apparently not, according to this research. They're very sensitive to even small changes.
Okay, so that's one category. What's the other side of the coin? What's the second category of health impacts?
The second category is bone and muscle diseases. Things like back pain, knee pain.
Okay, the more physical structural issues.
Right. And the key difference here is that these problems typically only show up after a significant increase in weight.
Ah, okay, so there's a difference in sensitivity.
Exactly. Metabolic diseases seem more sensitive to smaller weight gains, while the musculoskeletal problems, the aches and pains in joints and back, usually need a more substantial weight gain before they become apparent.
That makes sense. It explains why someone might get diagnosed with high blood pressure after gaining just a bit, but maybe their knees feel fine until they've gained quite a lot more.
That's the distinction the source draws.
So given all this, if we want to keep an eye on our weight accurately, how should we do it? Because, the scale can jump around just day to day.
Oh, absolutely. And the source acknowledges that. It mentions that your body weight can fluctuate by as much as 1 to 1.5 kilograms. That's like 2 to 3 pounds, just depending on the time of day, hydration, things like that.
So how do we get a consistent reading?
The advice is simple, but important.
Yeah.
Weigh yourself at the same time of day and always use the same scale.
Consistency is key.
Exactly. It helps you avoid getting, worried or maybe overly reassured by readings that are just normal daily fluctuations.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's recap what we've learned from this deep dive. It's been pretty eye-opening.
Definitely.
We started with this surprising idea that your real ideal weight might actually be anchored to your weight around age 20.
Yeah, that baseline is crucial.
And that the 5-kilogram rule, gaining more than 5 kilos beyond that baseline, even if you still look normal, could signal the start of obesity.
Then we got into measurement, the BMI differences.
Right, that huge distinction, BMI 21 being appropriate for Asians, Indians versus 30 for Europeans.
And the why behind it, that active, noisy belly fat releasing those toxic adipocytokines.
Compared to the quieter fat stored elsewhere. And using waist circumference as another key check.
And finally, the two types of health problems. Metabolic issues like diabetes popping up with even slight weight gain.
Versus bone and muscle pain needing more significant gains.
It really gives you a much more nuanced way to think about your own health and weight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Beyond just a single number on the scale or a generic chart.
Absolutely. It equips you to think more critically, more personally about your well-being.
Mm.
And, this brings up a final thought for you, our listener, to consider. If something seemingly small, like a few kilograms gained over decades, or where your body stores fat, can have such profound and different health consequences.
Yeah, what else?
What other seemingly minor aspects of our daily lives, our habits, our environment, might be quietly shaping our long-term health in ways we haven't considered?
It's a powerful question. How can being aware of these subtle but significant differences empower you to manage your own health journey with maybe a bit more precision.
Something to think about.